The name David means beloved. King David is presented in shepherd's clothes as a reminder of his previous occupation and a social status. During a liturgical year, the Bible fragments about King David are read many times, but his feast day is celebrated on 29th December. With regard to his skills and hobbies, David is a patron saint of musicians, singers, and poets. David, the future king, was born in Bethlehem as the youngest of 8 sons of Jesse. His main occupation was herding the sheep. He spent his free time playing the lyre and most probably the flute, too. Nobody expected heroic deeds from him, the brothers rather used to disregard him. It lasted until the prophet Samuel had a vision in which God told him to anoint David to be the future king of Israel. He did it unofficially because the current king Saul was still ruling. However, he did not have God's grace anymore, as he did not obey God's commands. For the first time, David won glory during a battle between Israelites and Philistines when he brought food to his older brothers to the battlefield. He learned there that a giant Philistine soldier, Goliath, is laughing at the Israelites. But nobody is brave enough to fight him. And so David did, a small young man. He did not wear an armor or a sword because they were too heavy and uncomfortable for him. He killed Goliath with a slingshot, and then he cut off the soldier's head and delivered it to Saul. Since then, David was the king's favorite. He won battles and soothed king's troubled soul with music. But Saul soon began to fear David because he realized how much people and soldiers loved the young man. Nevertheless, David remained loyal to Saul until the king's death on a battlefield. Then he was anointed to be the king of Israel. He was very successful in wars and his people loved him. And women were the only weakness of King David. He had many wives and offspring, but still he had an affair with Bathsheba, a wife of one of his soldiers. When the woman turned out to be pregnant, David cunningly killed her husband and married her. He regretted what he did and God forbade him, but also punished him with the death of Bathsheba's firstborn son. Solomon was the next son of the couple and David chose him to be his successor. Solomon was famous for being an especially wise and just king. David was not only a soldier but also a musician and poet. The Book of Psalms is the evidence of how important the art was in his life. It is assumed that he is the author of at least 73 of the Psalms. The product description, read by the speaker in this form. The attributes of David are a slingshot, the head of Goliath, a lyre. The slingshot is a weapon with which David defeated Goliath, proving that the most important thing in battle is God's intercession. The head of Goliath was delivered to King Saul by David as a sign of victory over the Philistines. The lyre relates to the musical skills of David.